Hi, I'm Dr. Claudia Kim, cosmetic surgeon here at New Look, New Life. Now, today we're going to talk about liposuction and all the other extra stuff that can go along together with liposuction. So in liposuction, we use a tool that's called a cannula. It's a long metal tube with a hole at the end and a vacuum at the other end. And you insert it into the area that you want to reduce the fat, and you pretty much suck out the fat. Now, there's different types of liposuction. There's, things like smart lipo and vaser lipo and manual lipo and micro air. It's all the same concept. You're sucking out fat with a vacuum. Now, manual liposuction is just with no motor or no power, okay? So it's just using the pure energy of the suction or the vacuum. And micro air is just a brand that is using a motor to kind of create this movement of the cannula to make it much more efficient and less traumatic for the tissues. The other liposuctions, like the vaser liposuction, you're using ultrasound energy to kind of melt the fat before the fat is actually suctioned out. And smart lipo is you're using an energy source at the tip of the cannula that helps to melt the fat as well while you're suctioning it out. So there's always going to be different types and brands of liposuction that come out, but the general concept is you're sucking the fat out with a vacuum. Now, for the term 360 lipo, or all around the world lipo, it just means that we are liposuctioning everything in that torso area. So from the abs, from the sides or the love handles, and the back. Now, some people or some surgeons kind of refer to 360 lipo as including the arms or the thighs, and that really depends on the surgeon on what they're referring to as 360 lipo. But for me specifically, 360 lipo means that it's the waist area, so abdomen, flanks, love handles, and the back area. And if I am going to address the arms or the thighs or other parts of the body, then we'll do that as an add-on. What I also get commonly asked is where are the incisions and will the incisions be visible? So I'm very cognizant about hiding my incisions so that there is no clue when you go out on the beach or that bikini that you've had liposuction. And so commonly my incisions are in the belly button, 2 in the underwear line near the hip bone, okay? And then for the back, 1 for the bra line, and then 2 right above the butt cheek and 1 above the butt crack. And also 2 in the armpit area if there is a lot of upper back fat. So it really depends on the body shape of the person and the area of fat I'm trying to address, but most of my incisions are fairly invisible and can be easily covered up with a bikini. Talking about the different types of liposuction, I'll go into what is Renuvion J Plasma. So we use the Renuvion system in adjunct with liposuction to help tighten the skin. So a lot of the times liposuction will have a small degree of skin contraction after liposuction, but remember, we're sucking out the fat that's underneath the skin. So when you're doing the liposuction, yes, you do get smaller. However, the skin will still remain. In some individuals with really good skin quality, and what I mean by that is the type of skin that they have, and this is influenced by the ethnic group you are, the age you are, so how old you are, and the quality of your skin, and if it's been stretched out multiple times before, whether it be weight loss, weight gain, pregnancy, things like that. And a lot of the times I can kind of assess the patient's skin quality by the appearance of stretch marks. So remember, stretch marks are an indicator that the skin has been once broken, all right? And so that has compromised the quality of the skin to potentially reduce the amount of contraction you're going to have after liposuction. Also, if I'm examining you and I see that the fat is kind of, you have your fluffy area, but you also have a little bit of loose skin, that tells me that loose skin is going to become more apparent once the fat is suctioned out. So previously, anytime you have loose skin, you essentially had to cut it out, whether it be with a tummy tuck, with an arm lift, a thigh lift, right? Because liposuction doesn't address skin. You can address skin to a small degree, like I said, depending on those factors, but there's really a limit to how much skin contraction you're going to have. So with the Renuvion system, it is actually FDA approved, it helps to tighten up that skin. The way that it works is that it's using cold plasma technology, and it's using helium gas to actually emit a strong radio frequency energy. And what does energy do? Energy helps to actually stimulate the cells that produce collagen underneath the skin. So it causes this inflammatory process to heal and to tighten up the skin like a saran wrap. Now, you won't see the results of this immediately. It does take a couple of months for it to actually work. In some individuals, it can take from 5 to 9 months for you to see the full results of it. That's in conjunction with the liposuction because, again, like I said previously, liposuction does take a couple of months for it to fully heal. So once all of the healing from the liposuction and all the swelling from the liposuction goes down, then the J-plasma results start to show where it starts to tighten up the skin. Now, how much skin does it tighten? It really does depend on the person again. So unfortunately, it may not be consistent amongst different people. But the expectation is to get at least up to about 50 to 60% skin contraction where liposuction would not have able to tighten up the skin to that degree. So what are the risks of the Renuvion J-plasma system? Because it is using a high heat energy, okay, you do have a potential for having burns, nerve injury. You can have bleeding or significant bruising or fluid retention. And a lot of these complications do overlap with just liposuction alone. But with the Renuvion system, again, you get the burns, the nerve injuries, okay? You also can have what's called crepitus or subcutaneous like crackling. So sometimes patients will report that they touch the skin and it feels like Rice Krispies. That's because of the helium gas. This is not permanent. It usually lasts about 24 to 48 hours and resolves on its own. The Renuvion system is really great for addressing areas that you're already starting to see signs of skin laxity. And we usually do that together with liposuction. You suck out the fat, tighten up the skin. Sometimes we also use the system together to do what's called the ab etching that I talked about in my previous video. So with the Vaser liposuction, you actually melt the fat much more superficially than you could have done with standard liposuction. And you etch out the lines, like the really athletic lines on the abs or the arms or the back area. And then you use the Renuvion system to tighten up the skin to really kind of saran wrap the lines that we've created with the etching process. So sometimes I get asked if I can just do the liposuction alone or if I can just do the Renuvion system alone. Yes and yes. A lot of the times people do have a component of both where they have that excess fat that can only be addressed with sucking it out with liposuction. And so in those individuals, I do recommend doing the liposuction and the J-plasma first. However, there are some individuals who really do have very minimal fat stores and you can do the J-plasma on its own. That is possible. How is the Renuvion system performed? So if it is being done with liposuction, then obviously we follow the standard steps for liposuction. We numb up the area with fluid containing pain medication and medication that causes the blood vessels to constrict. You perform the liposuction, and then after completion of sucking out the fat, you go in with the Renuvion system and actually do that radiofrequency treatment to tighten up the skin. Now, if you're doing the Renuvion on its own, same concept, you do have to inject that fluid, the tumescent fluid, and then afterwards you do the process, and same concept, you're going to have leakage, you're going to have potential bruising, you're going to have swelling, and you do have to wear the compression garment. So kind of think of it as like a similar process to liposuction, but with this added modality. And again, just like liposuction, you can do this under local anesthesia or general anesthesia, depending on how big the area you want to address is. So if it is a larger area, you do need to go to sleep for it because it is going to be quite uncomfortable. And there's a limit to how much lidocaine or the pain medication that I can give you. If it's a small area, and depending on the person, which is weight dependent, we can do it under local. So 1 or 2 areas that are really bothersome to you, we can do liposuction and do J-plasma while you're completely awake. How do I know if liposuction is the right choice for me? Now, obviously, liposuction is just addressing the fat to a certain degree, a little bit of skin laxity. Now, if you do have a significant amount of skin laxity, liposuction is not going to cut it, which means that you may have to have more invasive procedures like a tummy tuck or a back lift or posterior lift. So usually when you start to see the skin fold down across your lower belly area, or if you're seeing like significant folds in your back, you're probably going to need much more of an invasive measure with a bigger cut and a skin excision. Are there limitations to who can get liposuction? So obviously, depending on your BMI, there is a limitation based on the state, based on the provider. For me personally, my BMI maximum is 39. So anyone above that, we may have to kind of work on getting you to a better body weight or starting point before we start intervening with surgery. Other individuals where liposuction may not be the answer is when people have what's called diastasis recti. I've talked about this in my previous video with the tummy tuck, where if you've had massive weight gain and loss, or if you've had multiple children, the muscles in your abdomen have separated. And so a lot of the times it may look like you have fat in the belly, but it's actually the muscle separation, and all your inside organs are kind of pushing up against that abdominal wall, making it look like it's round and big. But a lot of the times when I actually feel on the patient's stomach, the fat is fairly moderate, it's minimal to moderate, and the actual roundness of the belly is caused from the muscle separation. So for these individuals, the tummy tuck would be the answer and not liposuction alone. Now, some people have asked, do I need drains after liposuction? So yes, for people that I do suck out a lot of fat, the purpose of the drain is to allow the fluid that's injected during surgery to come out and be controlled. So again, that fluid is tumescent fluid, which contains salt water, lidocaine, which is a pain medication, epinephrine, which is a vasoconstrictor, which means that it clamps down on the blood vessels so that you don't have that much bleeding, and bicarbonate, which is a base to kind of combat the acidity of the lidocaine. So that fluid that comes out is always like a fruit punch color, okay? I always like to associate things with food, I don't know why, but that drain allows that fluid to come out through one hole and not create such a mess. So some individuals, if it's not a lot of fat, then I won't leave a drain and I'll just let the incisions drain on its own. Now, the fluid will drain for about 48 hours, 72 hours, depending on how much fat and how much fluid was injected. If it is a 360 liposuction and I got a pretty good amount of fat in, I'm going to leave a drain. And it's mostly for your comfort. It may not seem very comfortable, but trust me, it's much better than having the fluid drain out of you and having to change the dressings. If it's a little bit of fat, then no drain, and you will have to change out the pads frequently for the first few days. Now, what is the recovery for liposuction? So I generally say that you're gonna feel very beat up the first 2 to 3 days. An example that I like to give is, imagine if you haven't worked out in 6 months, okay? You decided not to do a single thing for 6 months, and then you decided to go to the gym and do like a 2-hour session. Do you know that feeling that you get the next day where everything sucks and you cough and you're sore and you're trying to walk down the stairs if you had leg day or butt day? So that's what it feels like for the first 3 days without pain medication. So usually people who do have experience working out, they're very familiar with this feeling. And so when I present it that way, they're like, oh, okay, I know exactly what that feels like. But that's okay. If you've never been to the gym before, it kind of sucks, but definitely manageable with pain medication. So I always do prescribe you pain medication to really get you through the first few days. After the first 2 to 3 days, the soreness definitely starts to feel better. You still feel a little bit of soreness even after 2 weeks, but not as significantly as you did in the first few days. Your activity restrictions, I do recommend not going back to the gym or working out for 3 weeks. And the first time going back to the gym may be a little bit uncomfortable. So always start off gradually, kind of start with stretches, mobility exercises before you go full back into your weightlifting routine. Definitely listen to your body cues. Your body will tell you exactly what you're ready for and what you're not ready for. In regards to the compression garment, or the faja. So I do mandate the patient to wear the compression garment for at least 1 month, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can take it off to shower, you can take it off to wash it, but you do have to put it back on. Now, starting from the second month, I do recommend at least wearing it for 12 hours during the day. Most people tend to swell up most during the daytime, and they can take it off in the evenings to be able to sleep in some kind of comfort. But if you do find a garment that is comfortable enough for you to wear for a prolonged time, I do recommend it. The longer you wear it, I feel like people are much more cognizant of their body and their activities. So if you can wear it longer, great. But if it's really miserable for you, then definitely just try to wear it at least 2 months. Other things that you can do to really improve the healing process is lymphatic massages. So obviously there are lymphatic massage therapists that are trained in post-surgical massage to help with like the swelling and the fluid retention after liposuction. There are also energy sourced lymphatic massages like the Facella that we have in the office, where you're using radio frequency energy to really help with the lymphatic drainage. Now, what is the difference between the two? So manual massage, so where the massage therapist uses their hands to really massage it, you're using physical strength to kind of help with the massage draining. It does hurt, okay, especially immediately after the liposuction, and it may be very uncomfortable. The radio frequency energy ones, because it's using energy, you don't have to use manual strength to really get the same same effect, and it can be much more efficient because the patient is not as uncomfortable and kind of feels like a hot stone massage. So a lot of the times patients are dozing off during their facella treatments. Depending on what you do, the recommendation for the lymphatic treatments, if it's a small area, you can get away with doing like 4 to 6 sessions. If it's the whole body, the recommendation would be at least up to 8 to 10 sessions. You can actually start a week after surgery or even the same week of surgery. Obviously, check with your surgeon if they're okay with that. For me personally, if the patient has drains or has a much bigger incision, I might give them at least a week before they start doing their facella treatments, versus if you just had liposuction and your incisions are tiny, I'll have you start doing facella within the same week. What is lymphatic drainage exactly? So during surgery, there is that fluid that we inject, also this inflammatory process and all of the swelling. So it's a combination of everything. The way that your body clears the swelling is through the lymphatic system. So imagine your body is like a whole bunch of tolls and gates or toll bridges. And so the fluid is pushed to these toll gates so that your body can process it and you essentially just pee it out. Right? So that's why a lot of the times when patients have a massage, they always find themselves having to pee shortly after. But the lymphatic massage is to really push the inflammation and the swelling to your lymphatic toll gates so that your body can flush them out. So really do find a provider that is able to provide you the right aftercare, which is just as important as the surgery itself. If you like these videos, stay tuned. I'll be trying to shoot more of these videos for my patients and for the general public. So enjoy. Thank you.